time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielson and Tom Gazolla, presented by Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Wednesday episode of The Oil Stream. Nielson and Gazolla, thank you very much for downloading the podcast. If you are subscribed, if you're watching on the live stream, even if you don't want to listen to the podcast, just subscribe to it anyway so we can get the sub. That would be great. The Oil Stream is brought to you by Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen, a brand new location. Well, it's been around for a little bit now, but down in Windermere, they've got another one coming in St. Albert, and nothing says Wednesday night dinner like a delicious Popeyes chicken sandwich. So, yeah, go pick one up today. Over a dozen locations now in Edmonton and the surrounding area. Tommy, what's up, buddy?
I don't know. Just hanging out, having a good time, man. Get to
Oh,
spend
wow.
time with you. Yeah, that's it. That's all that matters.
Thanks, buddy. I'd just be here talking to myself if it wasn't for you. So thanks for being here today. Oh, before Elizabeth, we had some daddy-daughter time this morning, and she wanted me to show this. She leaves letters down here all the time, right? She's 4. And today we're down here. I was doing a little bit of prep for the Oil Stream, and she's watching. And she goes, Daddy, can you show this letter on Oil Stream? I was like, sure. So this is from Elizabeth. It says, I love you, Daddy, from Elizabeth.
Nice.
So when she looks a little bit later on, this is the type of artwork I'm getting around the house, buddy. You should see our fridge. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So,
It's adorable.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, a little special appearance there from Elizabeth's artwork here on the Oil Stream today. We got Evander Kane to get to, Ken Holland's availability to get to, your Ken Morrison Remax question of the day for Ken Morrison, Remax excellence, buy it or deny it for our friends at Jiffy Lube out in Morinville. But hey, Tommy, you were at practice today. Practice report. What happened, buddy?
Okay, lovely. Get to see the guys that were all in COVID protocol on the media side back out. It's nice. That's great. Jack, Gene was there, and my brother was one of them, but he wasn't on the road. He had COVID, and so get to see everybody back, and everyone seems to be healthy, and that's great. So, boys, welcome back. 15 skaters, 2 goaltenders on the ice. I had Kyle Turris to the COVID protocol list. I think Yamamoto and Bouchard get out tomorrow. And for whoever was out there, the mishmash of players, they actually had a pretty good skate. And the most exciting part of the practice was when Jesse Puljujarvi and Leon Draisaitl collided at the blue line at open ice. And both guys were shaken up because those are 2 big dudes. 2
big bodies, bud.
Yep. And they didn't hit each other at full speed, but enough that both of them were shaken up. And you could see Leon kind of MFing at the whole situation. I don't think he was MFing Jesse specifically, but I think he just MF'd the whole, like, here we are.
Yeah.
And he kind of skated slowly. Both of them kind of stick down on the knees, and they got up. Jesse went to one bench. Leon went to the other, took the helmet off, threw it, kind of collected himself. TD Force walked over to ask if he was okay. He's like, I'm fine. Wiped off the helmet visor, put it back on, and he was good to go. So that was probably the most exciting part of it. And so we heard Dave Tippett talking about it today. Like, he's just taking what he has for available players and just trying to get them as ready as possible incrementally to the point where they're ready to play Ottawa on Saturday. So that's kind of where we're at. The most exciting part was seeing the guys back, and then Leon and Jesse colliding. And
Was it Jesse's fault? Was he not paying attention or what? What would you say?
You know what, man? Something like that is usually both guys' fault.
Yeah. You're right. If one guy was paying attention, they would have got out of the way. That's a good point.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point.
And they collided solidly. And it wasn't full speed. So it was one that you get rattled and you're like, shit, I'm okay.
Yeah. But, it is tough, though. You try to get ready. You get some guys back out after practice, trying to get ready for a game on Saturday. You still don't have your full team to practice. So not an ideal situation here for Dave Tippett. Anything else from Tippett today that stood out for you at all? Or
Hey, we're going to get into it, but he was pretty upfront about everything. We'll talk about the Kane stuff and when he was approached about it, as well as McDavid. But outside of that, no, he just... he said, I don't listen to the outside noise. He knows how bad the team has been performing. He knows he hasn't been behind the bench for a win in almost over a month at least.
Yeah, it's over a month now, man.
Yeah, and he was asked about the extremes of in this city, people love you if you're winning, people hate you if you're not. And he just said, I don't listen to that. I've been around too long. I'm too old to deal with that. I just got to focus on winning. I know what I can do. And so if anybody's looking for him to react to, people calling for his head, for him, it's nothing. He's worried about trying to get a win on Saturday. So that's where we're at.
Ken Morrison, Remax question of the day. We'll get to say, is it about Evander Kane? Okay.
Is.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, let's save that then. Let's go to Ken Holland first. Then we'll dive into the Ken Morrison Remax question of the day. Kenny Holland, 20 minutes of the media yesterday, as per request from the local beat writers and Speck and that crew. I wasn't expecting anything. I knew he was going to get ripped for whatever he said. But I didn't mind the availability that much, man. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, he said brilliant things, but I don't mind a guy. Like, I don't people were expecting him to go out there and say, Dave Tippett's got to turn this thing around or we're going to have to make changes. I mean, he basically straight up said, I believe in this team. I built this team. This is on me. He didn't go as far as saying nobody's going anywhere, but it sure felt like nobody was going anywhere. And he believes that, they've had a little bit of bad luck and the PDO hasn't been great if you want to look at some of the numbers. I mean, they've been a little unlucky during this slide, but was there anything noteworthy to you coming out of Ken Holland yesterday?
Couple things. He might have been lost in the shuffle, but he said he's been making calls. Like, he's been trying to find a move that might be out there. And I think that there was a few other things that people wanted to hit on, and rightly so, given everything that's gone on. But he did say, I've been trying to make calls, trying to make moves and see what's out there. And right now, everybody's pretty much up against the cap, and it's tough. It's tough to make anything happen. So he did say that like he's been calling, doing his due diligence, and we know that that's kind of his thing. The other thing that surprised me a little bit, and listen, I don't think it's not 100% going to happen, but he said, we have to, I'm paraphrasing the quote, but it's something to the effect of, we need to ride Smitty and Koski here.
Yeah.
Get back to Smitty and Koski. And I was like, what are you talking about, man? Koski's telling you, he's showing you what he is, and that's not good enough. And he did follow that up by saying Stuart Skinner is in a good place. And maybe that was him kind of acknowledging the body of work Skinner's put together and, not slamming the door shut at, hey, maybe next week we see Stuart Skinner up here, because let's not kid ourselves. We're at the point now where Stuart Skinner, I think, has elevated himself at least ahead of Mikko Koskinen as a guy who gives you a chance to win. And I would even make the argument this year, given Mike Smith's injury status, I think Stuart Skinner is probably the goalie right now that I would have the most faith in giving me a chance to win night in, night out. That could change, but that kind of caught me. I was like, really? Like, are you just trying to talk up Mikko Koskinen, or are you giving an honest assessment? You really believe that Mikko Koskinen is somehow part of the solution? Because I think it's abundantly clear, given his body of work this season, he's not.
D Cards on the live stream with a relatively rare opinion from the fan base, but said, I like the availability, stern to the point, no effing around, finally felt a little confidence. So, I mean, maybe Ken Holland won a few people over with that. I thought, not really interesting, because I wasn't expecting him to say anything else, but when Daniel Nugent-Bowman was talking at the end there about, basically trying to figure out if he'd be willing to move a decent-sized piece for a rental, he basically said, I thought he got pretty fired up with play the kids, they're not good, move the kids. He's not wrong. I mean, that's how we react in this market. And he basically said, look, if they're going to build depth in this organization, it has to come from all the young guys that he listed off. He also said that if there's a legitimate hockey trade that brings in a piece that will be around for, multiple years beyond next season, he would consider doing that. And Tommy, I know some people, you want to, hey, look, Reed Wilkins is calling me right now. Remember I told you he called me earlier? I don't know if there's an emergency or what, but Wilkins is calling me right now. Hope he's okay. I guess I'll have to get back to him later.
I just saw him. I think he's fine.
Okay, he's okay? Yeah. You saw him at the rink, right? So, yeah, okay.
Okay to me.
I don't think the Oilers are in a spot where you're giving up one of your top 5 prospects to bring in a rental for this team. Like, if you're Tampa, Florida, Colorado, and you think you're one piece away from a Stanley Cup or a legitimate Stanley Cup run, I think that's when you do that type of move. The Oilers, if they want to move Xavier Bourgault for a guy who's 23 and is under control for the next 4 years and can play, well, hell, anywhere on this team, then maybe that's something that you do. But I didn't have an issue with him saying that they're not going to move a big piece for a rental, because I don't think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah. Yesterday, listen, I don't think he was going to please a lot of fans, regardless of what he said. And we saw a lot of the reaction, not shocking whatsoever. But he had to stand in front of it. This is the team he's built, and this team clearly is not getting the job done. And I don't think he has a lot of options here. He's put himself into this situation where he doesn't have a lot of options. So he had to eat it, man. And he did. He defended himself. And I don't think anyone really went after him. And that's the other thing, too, is what are we going to say to him? Hey, Ken, your team sucks. Go and make a trade. That's not how it works. There's give and take in a relationship with the media and team management. So, it was interesting. It was good to hear from him. And he ate it because he knows this team's not performing up to par. Yes, he has a case that they've dealt with injuries, they've dealt with COVID, but listen, man, they pissed away some easy wins in this run. They pissed away some easy wins, and that cost them points, cost them the ranking in the standings. They played some bad hockey. He faced up to it, which is what a good veteran GM does. Do I care for the Detroit stuff? No, not really. It's like talking about the 80s Oilers now.
Well, that's the thing. I had somebody text in today and say, I'm sick and tired of Ken Holland talking about the 90s Red Wings. In this city, we don't need to hear that. I said, really? In this city of all places, you don't want to rehash the past? Come on. How many references do we still see to, this is the way they did it in the 80s. Ken Holland can't talk about the 90s, but you can talk about the 80s? Come on. It's the only experience he has. Right?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. I think the references to the 80s and 90s now should just be
any reference, no more. To be honest with you, any reference pre-salary cap world should be gone.
Yes.
The game changed. Game changed. The way you managed the team changed when the salary cap was put in place. Anything that happened before that, whether you had success or you had failure or whatever, really doesn't matter in the game today at all in any way. All right, let's get into your Ken Morrison Remax question of the day for Ken Morrison Remax Excellence. Visit his website at kenrmorrison.com. He's been a realtor for 20 years, top 10 realtor with Remax Excellence. And Tommy G, what do you got today, buddy?
All right. Obviously, the hot talk is Evander Kane, and the players talked about it or were asked about it. At least Connor McDavid was, and so too is Dave Tippett. We'll talk about that. But Dusty, should they get this deal done with Evander Kane, because they're clearly in the mix here, do you fear that if he has success here at Edmonton for a half season, that they sign him to a multi-year deal and it's just the same sad story with him over again? Because I think that people will get drunk on the idea of him playing well and saying, see, he's reformed himself, and then be like, re-sign him. I truly fear that could potentially happen if they do land Evander Kane.
Well, will they be able to afford it? I mean, that's scenario number one. You can't choose Evander Kane over Jesse Puljujarvi moving forward.
No.
You can't do something like that. As for the here and now, and then I'll address the long-term thing. As for the here and now, and I know I saw some people texting in my show today saying, I'm done watching him if they bring him in. He's a piece of garbage and all that stuff. And you do have to dive into it. I mean, there are some things that he did that I don't think he can defend. There's the stuff going on with his ex-wife that really is kind of going both ways. He was actually awarded the custody. Do you know how difficult it would be to get awarded the custody of a child when you're a father who travels all the time? For him to get that is pretty insane. The fact that he's been reported that he's a shit teammate is not ideal. But on the ice, he is a perfect fit. He is exactly what you need. And if you only need him as a hired gun at a very inexpensive number for 4 months to try to help your team get to where it wants to get to this year, then I'm fine with that. But I think the last thing this guy would need is, hey, here's 20 mil on a 4-year deal or more. That defeats the purpose of what you might get out of him this year. If anything, he should be locked in to 1-year deals moving forward. You want to sign him for a 1-year deal? Bring him back. If he does well, fine. Try to way to make it happen. But the minute you give this guy comfort again, I don't know why he wouldn't want to go back to his previous ways and habits. And can people change? Maybe people change. Can they get given multiple opportunities and maybe click at some point? possibly. But I mean, the way I look at it is, if you sign him, if you get him now, and he does something stupid, just let him go. I mean, you're out a couple $100,000 and it's not killing your roster or anything like that. But you're right. The decision long-term moving forward would be a dicey one.
I'm like, okay, this might be a reality where they get him for the year, but then I could very well see him having success here. And then the idea, and someone brings up, maybe they sign him long-term or keep him around. And I'll just be like, that's it. You're going to get screwed over. You're going to have the same situation that happened in San Jose, maybe not to the extreme, but it's going to play out like it did in San Jose. It's going to play out like it did in Buffalo, like it did in Winnipeg, where it turns ugly because something stupid happens. And you're right. Like, hey, second chances, absolutely. Learn from your mistakes, of course. But this is someone who continually does things again and again and again. Dusty, I got texts from people that knew him from Vancouver, knew him in Winnipeg, knew him in Buffalo, knew him in San Jose. Not a single good thing to say about the person, the hockey player, excellent hockey player. But there was one text I got from someone that dealt with him in San Jose that described his character with a lot of expletives. And I'm not going to repeat anything that was said, but I'm just like, oh my goodness. Yeah.
What did McDavid say about him today? What did he say about it?
Okay, so I'll sum up. McDavid didn't want to go into that stuff, and Dave Tippett didn't want to go. They didn't want to go into it. Dave Tippett said it's moot point, all that, until this guy's here. I'm not coaching a guy that's not here. McDavid acknowledged the hockey player and said, I'm not here to talk about the stuff off the ice. And to me, when you hear the tone and the type of comments that they make, it sounds like they're okay with bringing this guy in. It's probably, I'm guaranteeing you've been discussed internally amongst. If
they're in a final two with Florida for this guy, they clearly got clearance from everybody, right?
Yep.
You are right. Like, he's had multiple opportunities for a wake-up call here to get his shit together, but he's never had his contract taken away from him. Like, I wonder if he's sitting there going, crap, like, they took away 20 mil. Like, I know they're going arbitration and the appeal and everything, and he might get 10 million back and go away type of thing. But I wonder if that is enough for him to say, damn, like, I'm this close to losing this meal ticket that can set me up for the rest of my life if I actually handle stuff properly. I wonder if this I'm gonna say it's probably not, but I'm wondering if this wake-up call would be enough this time around, because this is different. I know they say second chance here, but he's never had his contract terminated and let go. Like, that's a little different. I wonder if that's a wake-up call. I don't know, but remember, before he had the contract terminated, he had to declare bankruptcy. Yeah.
Like, he needs this money, and I think that it's an overwhelming amount that he owes. And then on top of that, like you mentioned, the ex-spouse, the scenario there, I'm sure she wants a cut and alimony and that. I don't know how all of that works. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's in a rosy financial situation to begin with. But Dusty, and then there's people that have compared it to like Zach Cassian. We heard the Dan Cleary thing yesterday, and saw some people tweeting about Craig McTavish. Like, yeah, those things happen with those guys. They're a lot different.
They're all different in their own way.
They got second chances, and they took advantage of them and made the most of them. And those guys, I know Mac T personally, I know Zach Cassian personally, those are good people. Yep, they made mistakes, but I'll tell you what, those are good people. And this person,
Evander Kane, you're not hearing that it's good people, yeah.
Nobody has said a single thing like, hey, listen, this is being misconstrued. He's actually a pretty good this, or he's just misunderstood. That has not once been said in the X amount of years that he's been in this league. And this isn't just one flub. This isn't a Ryan O'Reilly driving into a Tim Hortons or anything like that. Like, this is multiple things, different things, and then it always ends ugly. Like, lots of red flags.
Can 4 months work? Can you keep him on track for 4 months? I mean,
I think it can.
It sounds so bad to have this selfish hockey view take on it, but for the organization, they're looking at going, can we keep him on track for 4 or 5 months and then go from there, right? So
that there is a track record for. He did it in his first stint.
That's
at the
true.
Beginning of the San Jose stint, that has happened. But as soon as that contract was awarded to him and he got it, and then the leadership, the Joe Thorntons, Patrick Marleaus of the world were gone, what happened? So I think that in a small window, totally viable on the ice. He could keep it together and be a good teammate, quote unquote. But man, as soon as, like you said, the getting comfortable part, that's where trouble starts to lurk.
All right, let's dive into, and if you're watching on the live stream, subscribe to the podcast so you do not miss an episode. Just search The Oil Stream on all your podcasting platforms. Give us a sub. They'll come directly to your mobile device, computer, wherever you listen to your podcast. That is your Ken Morrison Remax question of the day. Give Ken a call, 780-993-4815. Buying or selling? Maybe you don't even know. Maybe you don't even know if you want to be buying or selling. Maybe you just want to get in the game. He'll guide you in the right direction. Ken Morrison Remax question of the day. Jiffy Lube out in Morinville brings you buy it or deny it. Go and see Craig and his partner and his crew out at Jiffy Lube in Morinville, 8805 100th Street in Morinville. You cannot miss it. No commission sales, no pressure sales. We're there. Get your oil change. Talk some Oilers. Monday to Friday, 8 to 6, Saturday, 9 to 4. 780-939-1034 if you want to know more about Jiffy Lube out in Morinville. All right. We already kind of hit on the press conference a little bit, but just overall general opinion here. Ken Holland's press availability on Tuesday wasn't disappointing. Buy it or deny it?
Deny it. I think it was exactly what we expected it to be. It was a little bit of fieriness. There was some references to the past and old teams, and a bit of information, and then that was it. So it was
disappointing?
No, I think it was just exactly it came as advertised, like nothing surprising whatsoever.
Yeah. So buy it because it says it wasn't disappointing. Yeah, I would agree. It was it was as expected. Yeah. I didn't think it was a train wreck. I know. Oilers Twitter. Thank God for Kodak Black last night, kind of distracting us all on Twitter, which we'll get to in a second. But all right. How about this one? Josh Archibald will play for the Oilers at some point this season. Buy it or deny it?
I'll deny it. Unless he's changed his mind about getting vaccinated, I don't think he's going to be an Oiler this year, which is too bad because he is an effective player and would help the penalty kill, which is struggling mightily. And
they miss Josh Archibald. Like they do.
Yeah, they do in the bottom six. And it's funny because someone last week on the postgame show, the one show I think we did, or two shows, actually brought up the fact that I ranked him higher in the rankings of importance in the preseason. And some people just can't get over that because I put him one spot above Yamamoto before we even knew his situation with vaccination, before we even knew what kind of year Yamamoto was going to have. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like I even said, I just want to clear it up. I even said on that episode, right after I brought up Yamamoto being below Archibald, I'm like, Yamamoto could easily be higher, probably will be soon. But
you did say that. I remember that.
But nobody wants to bring that up. They just want to be like, oh, you put Yamamoto behind Archibald. Like, you're an idiot. You're stupid, Tom. They don't listen to everything. And someone brought it up last week. I'm like, oh my God, like, freaking listen, man. And
I just love the fact that somebody brought it up. That's great.
I guarantee you that same person that texted into the show would have traded Yamamoto 2 weeks prior for a bag of pucks and a fresh set of Gatorade water bottles.
That is true. You're right. I will deny it as well. What they say, he's working out with a heart monitor till the middle of this month. But you're right. I mean, he was dead set against getting vaccinated. So if that hasn't changed, then he's not playing. Unless there is an injury, Stuart Skinner won't start another game this season. Buy it or deny it? Deny
it. I think he's starting a game relatively soon. Unless they want to give Koskinen another chance and then he'll quickly let them down as is tradition. I think Stuart Skinner gets a look pretty quickly here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see if he shares the load with Mike Smith.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and people can come after me when it happens, but I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it because, I mean, if there is no injury, then I think they'll want to play Mike Smith a ton. And then they won't have a lot of games for Skinner anyway. And they'll say, well, we'll just give Koski those games and that'll be about it. I think Skinner should be one of the top 2 guys here right now anyway. But the way Ken Holland talked about, Koski and Smith were our guys and got to get them back up and got to get them going again. And I think they still are liking the idea of, especially down the stretch, like 3 games for Smith, 1 for Koskinen, and 3 games for Smith, 1 for Koskinen. And does one of those go to Skinner? Sure. Does it help anything? I'm not too sure. So it's a long shot, but I'm going to take a crack at this one and I'm going to deny it or buy it, and then we'll see what happens.
Dusty, I just they have lost all their margin for error in this stretch, so they need to win. And the other thing Ken Holland said is they don't think Mike Smith can handle the workload with the travel this season. Last year, it kind of gave him that opportunity. So are you going to risk pissing away points with Mikko Koskinen starts, or are you going to go to a guy in Stuart Skinner that's clearly graduated, was too good for the AHL? What is he, 6-0-2? And you're going to let him simmer and play games that he's not really benefiting from outside of just playing. You could have him playing games up here, helping your team get points and wins, building belief and confidence in your goaltending, as opposed to the other guy who's done the opposite.
Final question. For buy it or deny it for Jiffy Lube out in Morinville, the Oilers should fly Kodak Black in for a game just to create a buzz. Buy it or deny it?
Buy it. Have 9,001 fans in the building on Saturday. Kodak Black and his friend can come and twerk in one of the suites that's been dark all season, because there's been a lot of them that have been empty, and make a splash in Edmonton. And maybe they could get some kind of licensing deal where they could sell some Kodak Black Oilers merch to help offset some costs.
Is that you're a little bit younger than me? You're still kind of in the scene a little bit.
Nah.
Is that how people dance nowadays, Tommy? Is that if I was to go to I really only ever go to Cook County, and once a year I'd end up at On the Rocks after being in Cook County. So that's about it. And I guarantee that's not how they dance at Cook County. So if I was to go somewhere hip and cool, would they be dancing like that?
Not to that extent, I don't think.
No, okay.
I think you'd see a little bit of bumping and grinding, but that was borderline, man.
Yeah, that was a little uncalled for, I think, in that situation. So
yeah. I don't think the D floor gets that in depth, if you will.
All right, that's going to do it for another episode of the Oil Stream. If you've been watching on the live stream, we love you. Thanks for the support. Subscribe to the podcast today. If you do subscribe to the podcast, leave us a 5-star rating. That would be awesome as well. I guess no pregame show for you until Saturday, so we'll have another episode of the Oil Stream on Friday, buddy, and I'll talk to you then.
I'm looking forward to it, and let's really make this one of the, if not the most prominent podcast in the oil field industry.
We'll keep grinding. See you later, buddy.